Before I dive in, I want to ask you something. If you love stories that feel small, almost ordinary at first, but somehow linger in your mind long after the screen goes dark, the kind that quietly sneak into your thoughts while you're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about life, then you're in the right place. These are stories about ordinary moments, subtle connections, and the tiny sparks that make life unexpectedly meaningful. So if that sounds like your kind of story, take a moment and hit subscribe. Because the world is full of little, unforgettable moments. And I promise, you'll want to hear them. I'm Claire Matthews. I'm 33 years old, and for the past 6 years, I've lived in a quiet, unassuming neighborhood in Springfield, Illinois. You know, the kind of place where everything moves slowly, predictably. Lawns are mowed on Saturdays. People wave at each other even if they don't remember names. Dogs bark 3 houses away. Kids ride bikes at sunset. And there's a rhythm to life that feels safe. I've been married to my husband Daniel for almost 10 years. A decade of shared meals, shared bills, shared jokes, and shared silences. We're not dramatic. No shouting matches, no grand romantic gestures, nothing cinematic. Just steady, familiar love. From the outside, our life might look boring. But from the inside, it feels like home. Our life runs on routines. Morning coffee at the kitchen counter as sunlight hits the backsplash. My quiet shifts at the local library, where the loudest crisis is someone returning a book late. Dinner together at 6, maybe a short walk if the weather is kind, then a half-watched show before bed. I used to think that was all life was, a predictable sequence of small, manageable days. Until one late summer afternoon reminded me that even the calmest lives have tiny moments that quietly shift. How you see everything. It was one of those warm, gentle summer days where the air carries a faint scent of freshly cut grass, and the sunlight feels soft rather than harsh. I had music playing in the kitchen, something mellow, acoustic, perfect for a late afternoon. I was cooking dinner, trying to impress my friend Megan, who had a talent for turning every meal into something magical. Daniel had mentioned earlier that his coworker Ethan might stop by to return a screwdriver he borrowed. I'd met Ethan a handful of times, tall, polite, calm, with an easy smile. The kind of person who radiates ease, like nothing could ever rattle him. That's all I thought of him, nice guy. Nothing more, nothing less. By the late afternoon, the house had descended into that pre-guest chaos. Towels were shuffled, counters wiped, candles positioned with a care I pretended to ignore, but secretly obsessed over. I was setting the dining table when I suddenly remembered the bread rolls tucked in the pantry. And that's when it happened. I bent down to grab the basket from the bottom shelf, humming along to the music. The wooden floor creaked beneath my weight. Then footsteps behind me. Close. Too close. I turned quickly, heart jumping, and there he was. Ethan, holding the screwdriver, standing right behind me. We froze. Not dramatically, not awkwardly, just in that half-second where two people unexpectedly occupy the same space. "Oh, sorry, Claire," he said, laughing softly. "Didn't mean to sneak up on you." I laughed too, though it came out thinner than I expected. "I didn't hear you come in," I said. Daniel had let him through the side door while tending the garden. In our neighborhood, people don't always knock. Familiarity often replaces formality. There was a flicker of that strange human awareness. The kind you feel when you're slightly closer to someone than usual, like in an elevator. Personal space acknowledged, silently respected. I set the basket on the counter and said, "Big dinner tonight." Trying to impress my friend. She's a better cook than me. We talked about recipes for maybe a minute, normal, harmless conversation. Then Daniel entered, drying his hands, and the moment dissolved as quickly as it appeared. Here's the strange thing. That tiny, almost forgettable 10-second interaction stayed with me. Not because of Ethan, not because of attraction, not because of guilt. It stayed because it broke the rhythm of my day. Reminded me that life isn't just a straight line of planned moments. Sometimes something as small as turning around and seeing someone unexpectedly jolts you awake. It forces you to notice. That moment, so brief, so ordinary, became a bookmark in my memory, quietly reminding me to pay attention. The rest of the evening went beautifully. Megan arrived, dramatic and late as always. We laughed until our cheeks hurt. Wine glasses clinked. Stories overlapped. But my mind occasionally drifted back to that pantry moment, like a small spark glowing quietly in the background. Over the next few weeks, I began noticing things I hadn't before. Strangers at the grocery store smiling when they held the door open. An elderly man at the library thanking me like I'd done something heroic by finding a book he loved decades ago. A mother at a red light making silly faces at her toddler. I realized most of life isn't made up of big events. It's made up of micro-moments, glances, half-conversations, shared spaces. These are the moments that sometimes stick with us far longer than vacations or holidays. Eventually, Daniel and I invited Ethan and his wife over for game night. The pantry moment became a joke I told once. Dramatic title, boring story. Everyone laughed. Privately, it meant more to me than that. It reminded me that being alive isn't about monumental milestones or cinematic gestures. It's about constantly brushing against other people's lives in small, unexpected ways. We are, in a sense, walking each other home, passing by, touching each other's worlds without even realizing it. I started to notice these interactions as a kind of invisible web. Each encounter, no matter how brief, leaves a tiny imprint. A smile shared, a hand held briefly, a word of kindness. It all accumulates, shaping our understanding of human connection. And the weirdest part? You don't know which moments will stick. Some linger for years. Some vanish like smoke. But every now and then, a simple 10-second interaction, standing too close in a kitchen, can quietly shift the way you see your world. Life is less about the big, planned events and more about the unexpected little sparks. That one afternoon taught me patience, awareness, and the joy of noticing. Every time